Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing very well. In this video I'm going to share my absolute essential best Pico 4 accessories and VR settings. Now I make no mistake in saying that this headset is actually the second very best headset I've ever used, that I've owned, that is. Which, wow, I never thought I'd say something like that. I prefer it to the ReverbG2. Simply because of those beautiful pancake lenses, the form factor, the cooling that's in the headset. It's really cheap, it's decent quality as well, it performs really well with virtual desktop. I just love it. However, it's not perfect, and I'm going to give you my personal favourite VR accessories for this headset, and afterwards I'll then talk about my VR settings. We're currently flying the SimWorks Studios RV10. Love this aircraft. If you haven't seen my review, check the notes below. So we're just going to go overhead Red Hill, which is a beautiful burning blue design airfield. One of many that I've reviewed on the channel. And in fact, we're going to head to Headcorn, which is the very first burning blue design airfield, which I'll also link in the description below. It's a bit gloomy today, actually. Now, the very first accessory I recommend everyone owns is a pair of lens inserts. And whether you wear glasses or you don't, like me, if you're going to buy a headset, okay, which is expensive, I mean, even the Pico 4 is really expensive, those lenses are everything. And if you scratch them, which is so easy to do, it is game over. Okay, I admit the other day, well, say the other day, it's about 6 months ago now, but it feels like the other day because I was so horrified. I did scratch my 8KX. My right lens is a slight scratch on it, and I can see it in VR. And that's me doing that, guys. You think I'd know better. I now do have a pair of VRFSG lens inserts, but the damage is already done. So the ones I use are from VRFSG, and I really love them. And at the moment, I do have a 15% discount code in the description below. So I'd recommend you snap that up while it's still available. So my second favourite VR accessory, well, I suppose I could split this into two categories, because there is the expensive option and then the better value option. It's basically a fabric cover that goes over the stock interface, and it's very much like what they did with the ReverbG2. I quite like it, actually. It's very comfortable, but I still feel it's a little bit on the hard side. However, it still is a big improvement from the stock interface by a huge, country mile. And the great thing about it is there's two that comes in the pack, as you can see there, and they are washable, and you can probably very easy wipe them down as well. So I do like that solution, especially if you're looking for something very cheap. However, I personally prefer the AMVR facial interface solution. I'll show you some shots now. There is two different thickness foam pads that are available. I would recommend the thicker version if you wear, VR lens inserts, and I would recommend you do that. Particularly VRFSG lens inserts, they tend to, you can feel them a little bit with the thinner pad. However, with that thinner replacement foam, you do get a better field of view, without a doubt. So that depends, I guess, on how important that is to you. I'm using the thicker version because that doesn't bother me so much, and it really is a massive difference. Also, regarding AMVR, check this out, okay? They provide some straps for your Pico 4, so if you love your index controller, say, or if you've got a Quest 2 and you have straps on that, it's absolutely essential whether you're VR gaming or you're using it to control the aircraft. I don't need to continually grip the controllers, if that makes sense. I can let them dangle like this. I'll just show you again some shots that I made earlier. As you can see, they're very well done in the fact that you can attach them to the Pico 4 controllers in a matter of seconds. And for someone like me who's not a DIY guy, I do appreciate that very much. And as you can see here, we actually need to switch tanks. I'll do that now using the controller. We are fuel pump on. Pressure is good. In fact, we'll do it without that. and then we'll just switch to the right hand tank. That's the wrong one, you idiot. There we go. And then fuel pump off. So you can use them with the aircraft if you want to. And I used to really enjoy using controllers with X-Plane 11, and I've started to do it a little bit more in MSFS. Now the third accessory is probably one of the best ones of them all, and that is the Bobo VR head strap. One of the things about the Pico 4 is the fact that the battery life, well, you probably get about 2.5 hours out of it, especially with the latest update. It's much better. But that's still a little bit on the low side. Well, this is where my very good friend and fellow YouTuber Mark from the SimHanger comes into it, because he's just posted a comprehensive, superb review of the Bobo VR head strap, which also includes the comfort mod as well, so you get like a nice cushion on the back of your head. Now what this does is extend the battery life by at least another 2 hours, because you get these little batteries that are magnetic and they stick onto the headset, which I think is a superb idea, which feasibly extends the battery life to about 4 hours. So please do check out Mark's video on the Bobo VR head strap. It's absolutely excellent, and thank you so much for allowing me, Mark, if you're watching this, to use some of your footage. So in terms of best VR settings, well, let me just show you my virtual desktop settings, which, by the way, is so important. If you've got a Pico 4, you must buy virtual desktop. That way you get fantastic performance. And actually I think that the Pico 4 with virtual desktop performs better than my Reverb G2. Can you believe that? Because at the moment I am locked at 45 frames per second. It's not budging at all using motion reprojection. Now if you do have a 4090 card, which is really essential if you're going to use the Pico 4, at least a 4070 Ti, since the 40 series cards have dual encoders which make streaming a lot easier, I would recommend running this at either on ultra or godlike mode with 75% sharpening. Have a play around with the motion reprojection settings. I personally prefer mine on auto.
And the VR graphics quality, you need to be on godlike mode. Godlike. Sorry, I just love the way they say that. One more time for luck. There we go.
Look at that, we're already at Headcorn. We'll make a couple of passes here as we finish up the video. In terms of my OpenXR toolkit settings, now this is a contentious one, because I know many of my Discord members prefer to use the cast setting and then override the resolution. Again, courtesy of Mark from the SimHanger, he has a fantastic settings guide for the Pico 4, much better than this video that I'm doing today, in fact. So if you really want a good detailed look of what he uses, I'll also leave a link in the description below. But for me personally, I'm all about TAA mode. You can't get me off that, so I don't actually prefer to use any filtering options with OpenXR, especially with a 4090. I think TAA mode is much better, and using 100% resolution in MSFS. In fact, I will show you as well my current MSFS settings on the screen now as well, to give you a bit of a guide. And really folks, that is all I do. It's so simple. In fact, the Pico 4 is the most simplest headset I've ever set up. Another reason why I really like it. Anyway, before we go and land, let me just show you a stall in this, because I want you to see what happens with the motion rig. I did this the other day on the video, but I didn't show you what actually happened. Oh, actually, we got a more sedate stall this time. On my review video, we actually went into a spin, and that was mental. I literally got thrown right to the left-hand side. It was amazing. Because this thing, as you can see here, is very, very maneuverable. Now, in case you're wondering, as you can see, I've still yet to find a decent motion compensation solution for the H2. There is a couple of things out there that I need to check out. It's just a matter of time. Right, anyway, talking of time, let's just wrap this video up. Here we go then, landing at Burning Blue Design Headcorn, which I feel a bit of a nostalgia here because I think I was one of the very first people to review this airfield when they was first, you know, new to the scene. And I remember being absolutely blown away with it. And since then, they've got so many airfields out now, and I love all of them to bits. And I regularly fly across all of them, to be honest, because they're just... It's one of those things that when you go to a Burning Blue Design airfield, you'll see something different every time. Especially with the dynamic sort of traffic and people in the cafe. There's even a... where is it? Is it Denham Aerodrome? I can't remember. One of the airfields where there's a slice of cake that dynamically gets eaten throughout the day. How amazing is that? So there we are, folks. We're down safe and sound at Headcorn. I hope you enjoyed that video. I know that there's probably not that many people that have moved to the Pico 4 at this point in time. And I think for most people, I think the Revo G2 still makes the most sense. You know, that's important to note because you do need a lot of power to run this thing. It's kind of like the poor man's Vario Aero in a way, but even though I have an Aero, I do really enjoy using the Pico simply because it's wireless. Thank you so much for all your support on the channel, it really means a lot. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now. Let's hope the cafe's open and we can get a bacon sarnie.